down on Grove Ave, but lived all my life in Tewksbury. So I hope they don't hold that against me. Anyhow, I went in the Marine Corps back in '39, and going to PI like Bill did, and going up to Brooklyn Navy Yard, and up to Newport, Rhode Island, the torpedo station, then over to the Naval War College. When the war broke out, well, they didn't send me over right away. They held me there. I didn't get over until over out in the islands for some time, till after some of the other islands were secured. But they first shipped me down to New Caledonia, New Mare, and then up to Guadalcanal. And then when Bill McNabb was up on Bougainville, then I was back on Vella La Vella. I had joined an anti-aircraft battalion there. And so while all those fellows were up there catching heck, I was having a picnic back on the island with the anti-aircraft battalion. From there, we went back to Guadalcanal, and being a separate battalion that was not attached to any division, we were prone to being sent in most anywhere they wanted anti-aircraft. Well, it came that the 1st Division was going to go up to Palau, and they wanted a little more anti-aircraft protection. So they already had one battalion of anti-aircraft. The battalion I was with, they split in half, and I was the half, or with the half that went up to Palau. And after that, I up in Palau, going through all the caves and what have you that Bill talks of. Then we stayed on as first line of defense, because we just pushed all the Japs on up to Babelthorpe. It was an island that was useless as far as being any good as far as military went. Couldn't put an airstrip on it or anything else, so just let them sit. But of course they played a few tricks on us up there. They used to gather up coconuts. And the islands being real close to each other, they'd gather up probably 1,000 coconuts, and then come nighttime they'd float them out as the tide was moving. And you didn't know whether it was heads in the water or whether it was coconuts. So once in a while there'd be a small Navy LCI anchored out in the channel, and you'd hear them open up first when all these coconuts come down and start blasting away. They had no idea. Although a couple of times they did have a nip that tried to come aboard that did come with the coconuts. So from there, they decided, well, they didn't need us any longer, so they broke my battalion up, and I was sent up to Guam, joined the 3rd Division up there, and I stayed up there with the 3rd Division until the war was over, and I came back home from there. So it was still quite exciting and quite an experience to go through. Well, I had nothing like some of these fellows had, though. Really.
My name is Henry Latta. Time of the war, I was living in Somerville, and it was brought back old times to hear about going to Fort Devens in September, and so I went to Devens at November 5th, 1942. Went to Fort McClellan, Alabama, 7 weeks branch immaterial basic, and 18 and 19 of us came up to New York Port of Embarkation on orders to New York Port, feeling very sorry for ourselves. figure they're going to ship our ass overseas, and we never even had a 3-day pass. Well, we ended up at the Hotel Breslin at 29th and Broadway. We were now members of the Army Postal Battalion in New York City's V-Mail station, and I served there for a year and a half. And believe me, it was tough duty. 99 Park Avenue. I left there, finally go to OCS. The only way I could get out of there was to go to Transportation Corps OCS. The New York port was a TC installation, and I went to New Orleans to become an officer in the Transportation Corps. After I left there, I served for a year in the West Coast at Camp Stoneman. First handling units going overseas and then handling the individuals coming back. But the one thing that I don't think anyone has mentioned here is that World War II was a war in which everybody in the country was involved. I had one brother went in the Coast Guard on July 30th in 1942, and he was lost at sea September 7th, 42, up between Greenland and Iceland. Another brother, Ed, was drafted in February of 42, and he was killed 2.5 weeks before VE Day in Germany, near Cologne. My sister was an RN, and she was in the Army Nurse Corps. She was on Saipan when the Enola Gay took off with the atom bomb to bomb Japan. My younger brother left high school early to go take a job at Watertown Arsenal, making stuff for the war. And everybody in the country either was in the service or expected to be in the service or working in a job that had to do with the war effort. Believe me, there has never been a war that we've been in since then that engaged the entire efforts of everyone in the country as World War II did. It was something that involved every family and every individual in the country. There was no way to escape it. And thank God we haven't had another big war like that since then. Thank you.
You know, we try to go down Route 38, you know, what a bedlam that is. I can remember when grass was growing up. In the street, we had no cars. We had cars, but we had no gas. And my husband kids me because we'll go by a certain house, and I'll say, oh, I went to a party in that house, because all of the fellows my age were leaving to go into the service, and every family had a little going-away party for them. And we all had a good time. It was awfully hard to see all that when it came prom time. Everybody was overseas. It was not really a happy time. You didn't want to go with your brother or your father or anything. But we managed, and I can remember George's Spanos had his whole little ice cream place, I don't know what it was, restaurant, and all of the servicemen that went from Wilmington, their picture was on the wall, and it was fun for us to go in to see what the new pictures were and who had gone and who he had heard from. I have a lot of lots and lots of memories. They talked, one of the men spoke about Julius Pangonis. He was in my class. Walter Morris was one that I think he was maybe a year or so ahead of me. But I knew more people, although I went to school in Tewksbury, I knew more people in Wilmington as I was growing up because I lived near the lake, and everybody came to the lake. But I couldn't stand up here without giving a little speech about my first husband was Tippy Drew, and of course Elmer was killed in D-Day, and Leonard was a prisoner of war, and my husband was in New Guinea. My mother-in-law had 5 stars, and one of them was gold. And so we've grown up remembering, and my family, I'm trying to instill on them the importance of remembering. And I think this is great that you can all laugh and then think about the sad times. But there were fun times too. And I could think of a lot of other things, but I think I've done my 2 or 3 minutes or whatever I'm supposed to do. Thank you.